Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome. It's Thursday. This is the weekly review with Vinnie and Sharifah. Come in, join us, go ahead and share this video because we're going to have a very interesting conversation. I can tell you that right now. I am your co-host, Sharifah Hardy, and Vinnie, my co-host. Welcome.
How's it going, guys?
It is excellent. It is excellent. People are starting to join us in the live. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to add them in the comments section and to join the conversation. So this is Weekly Review with Vinnie and Sharifah. We haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. So what do you have going on, Vinnie?
Just living life. I'm curious. So you said we're going to have an interesting one. Does that mean you got some hard-hitting questions that you're going to be throwing out?
Yes.
I
just know I am.
Are you waiting for me to get warmed up a little bit?
No, I'm not waiting for anything. I just know that I am because I haven't talked to you since probably 2 weeks. We missed last week. You know, we had to make some changes, do some things, and come back ready and better than ever this week. So I knew it was going to be some things that we needed to discuss during this conversation.
Yeah, no, I've had a couple podcasts, been dealing with some real estate transaction, seeing the progress of some of our team members in the real estate aspect of it. One thing, actually one of the team members reached out to me today, and she was like, just FYI, we might get a crazy lady coming to the office. Mm-hmm. She was doing some cold calling, and when you do cold calling, people get a little angry sometimes. So that was actually, it was funny because I think most people's response would be like, be safe, be careful. And I was like, good for you. You're making the calls. You're reaching out. You're taking that effort for your client. So.
Yes. Hey, Val, Mustafa, James, thank you for joining us. Val is running in and running out to run her errands. I know she's heading somewhere to pick up lunch for everyone.
Oh, at least it's a late lunch, though.
Dinner.
She's carb loading.
Yes. So I want to go back to what you were talking about, your real estate transactions. So when we first met, one of the things that I was interested in when you were a guest on our Sharifah videocast is that you are known for being one of the best realtors in San Diego. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You did a survey?
I did a survey of, actually, you know, the best line is, I saw this on someone's advertising once, where it was like, best realtor in X community, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And then there was a hashtag on there, or an asterisk, saying, voted by his mother. And I was like, that's actually a really good one.
I like that. So who voted you the best realtor in San Diego?
Probably my mother.
Okay, we're going to have to talk to her. We want to talk to your mom, have her guest on the show, and find out why she feels that you might just be the best realtor in San Diego.
Well, I probably paid her too. A little bribery never hurt anybody.
Not at all. So you just had these transactions come through, businesses booming, things are evolving, things are getting better, not that they were bad. So now with your new millions that you just received, what are some of the things that you're going to do? Are you going to expand your podcast? You're going to do more advertising, marketing for your business? What are some of the changes that we can expect from the new Vinnie?
No changes. I think that's probably the difficult part in real estate is, especially for new agents, is when you're doing well, you start seeing this abundance of money, and sometimes you'll overspend it, especially for individual agents or newer agents. You know, you might get a deal there and then a deal there, but you have to kind of plan for the future. And if the market's kind of changing, you got to be aware of that. Mm-hmm. So
what kind of changes are you going to make since you're an experienced, wise agent?
It's a knowledge base, I think, of understanding where sellers are and where buyers can be price-wise for both of them. Also being aware of default properties, stuff like that, short sales, and that's kind of already a knowledge base that myself and our team has, where we have that kind of knowledge base. But we'll probably be seeing more bank-owned properties, REOs. Talking about REOs, did you see the whole?
I saw your post. I
Oreo.
saw Oreos, but thank you for reminding me. That was one of the things I wanted to ask you today because I'm not a real estate person. It went over my head. I read it and I understood. But can you explain it to our listeners who may not understand the term?
Well, so REOs are just bank-owned properties. So in California, and I know the other states have differently, but in California, what happens is there's a foreclosure process,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when someone's behind their payments, it could take, a couple months, it could take a couple years, but once the individual or entity is trying to foreclose on you, they have to go through all the procedures. So they have 3 months, 90 days, in essence, from pre-foreclosure to actual notice of default, notice of sale.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that 90 days, that window, at the 90-day threshold, then they can file in 30 days a notice of sale, and they actually do auctions, so on and so forth. And if it doesn't sell at the auction steps, the bank can take the property back, and then it becomes an REO property, a bank-owned property, right? And we usually, sell these properties later on, so on and so forth. So these were big avenues previously, REOs. There's not as much as there used to be, but they're still coming about, and going in the future, you will probably see more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the term Oreo.
Yeah.
Explain the post and explain what happened.
Oh yeah. So they were. I don't even know what it was. It was for he was the secretary of was it housing or something, housing development or something. Mm-hmm. And there was, I guess, a miscommunication where they were asking him about REOs. Mm-hmm. And I guess he relayed that I'm a big fan of Oreos. Mm-hmm. I read into it, and because I was thinking, well, REOs and Oreos have a similar idea, but then you kind of reading the actual breakdown of what she said, mm-hmm. and she started talking about the actual REOs and gave him a chance to actually come back on it. Mm-hmm. And it was focused on the Oreo aspect of it.
Was it like the cream filled middle, or what exactly was he discussing in this meeting? But what? Go ahead.
I was just thinking, possibly was, off the back of miscommunication, maybe he just got overly excited mm-hmm. about Oreos. The first thing that popped in my head when I read that about the miscommunication of Oreos and REOs, I was like, maybe I should go get some Oreos tonight. Mm-hmm. So maybe that was him. He heard the word, or he thought he heard that word, Oreos, and he's just so swayed by that idea that he's like, I need some Oreos in my life.
But one of the things that I'm always interested in is I wonder what that did to Oreo sales. Because you all of a sudden wanted some Oreos, you might have went out and purchased some Oreos. So maybe there were other people who went out and purchased Oreos, and maybe he was making an Oreo joke. Like, that's one of the things about being in the public eye. Sometimes you can make a statement or even something you consider a joke, and all of a sudden it's on the face of every blog, every news site, everyone. It's like, oh my God, he said Oreos, when that's not what we were discussing.
Yeah, I was trying to see if Oreos got a spike in sales because of that. But yeah, that. I think that's a difficult part where we have such a snapshot judgment. Mm-hmm. So before I can make a false judgment of that, I kind of wanted to read exactly what was said, mm-hmm. just to get a better understanding of it. But yeah, you gotta be careful with your words.
Yes.
Or even in context, like stuff can be taken out of context all the time.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree, because I think when we did the last show, I think we were joking, we were having a lot of fun, and I think people were like, oh my God, what are they talking about? We were talking about harems and sugar daddies, and everybody's like, I thought this was a business show, but you have to take the context and the level of familiarity that's there.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's, and I guess there's a correlation with that. I know we make kind of jokes about a lot of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you see that much, talking to a lot of business owners. I see in the real estate side mm-hmm. where you see people that are maybe a little are affluent and may have money in their pocket, and there's sometimes where family members or other people can look to take advantage of funds that maybe aren't theirs. Mm-hmm. So I think that was maybe a correlation to the whole sugar daddy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I know all the rich people are like, beware, stay away from all the people who are looking for sugar daddies. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
mean that's oh my gosh, that'd be the scariest thing. Like it almost seems like in trying to find a relationship or something like that, you must want to be in a bad part of your life so you can
Mhm,
actually people you meet the person in one of your lowest points so you can know that what they're actually in the relationship for.
mhm,
My assumption. So I think it'd probably be tough trying to find true love as like a really affluent or really well-to-do individual.
mhm.
I don't know. What do you think? Have you ever talked about that with your people you interview?
No, I've never had that discussion, but I know we have quite a few people tuning in right now, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section on that discussion. But I don't think you necessarily have to be in the lowest point of your life. I think when you meet someone, like looking at yourself, is, just by looking at you, I wouldn't be able to tell your income bracket in any form or fashion. Whether you had, $5 in the bank or 5 million in the bank, it's very difficult to see just by looking at you. But I believe that people get a clearer picture, or at least have an idea once they start to notice certain things. Like, oh, okay, I see what he drives. He drives the Bugatti, so that's going to tell me a little bit about his lifestyle. He's in real estate. He owns, several properties. So they try to guess. But I think if we meet someone initially and we just kind of meet them without all of the, we don't take them to the mansion. So they don't have an idea of really how much we're worth.
Well, and there's people like I hear stories from women that like where men and I'm assuming it happens the opposite direction too, where you get I mean false truths like where it's like this is my life, this is who I am. In reality, it's not like so that definitely that definitely be scary because yeah you hear these crazy. There was this one that she was she was seeing this guy and she said she saw him for a couple months. I forgot the full extent of it. And he told her that he was a coach for an NFL team.
Mhm.
And like he had one of his friends, I think, reaffirm the statement that he was.
Mhm.
And but he was like a smaller coach, so she tried to Google it and she couldn't find him on there. And he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's a transition. I just moved from here, blah blah." And long story short, that he was actually like a hairstylist,
Mhm.
and so
Oh
he was
wow.
living a false life. Like it's like I don't know, it's crazy. Like the extent people will go.
Yes. Did you? Okay. I thought you were going to talk about the young lady that has really been on all the news sites. Is this lady who scammed all the people in New York? Have you seen it?
No, no, what happened?
Oh yes, she was a fake heiress, and I'm looking it up right now. She is a fake heiress, and I'm trying to find her name. Hey, Kat, Beth, Sherry, thank you for joining us. Her name is Anna Sorokin,
Okay.
and she posed as a socialite in New York's hottest clubs. She got money from investors. Now she faces up to 15 years in prison on her most serious charges. But mainly, one of the main things that she did was she stayed at this hotel, and I was trying to find the name of this hotel, and she ran up. Um, well, she tried to steal more than $1 million from City National Bank, and then she also stayed at this hotel. She stayed at in I don't know, but it was some hotel where she ran up like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of a bill staying at this hotel. And because she told them, and everybody had the impression because she had a lot of cash on them, that she was an heiress. They just charged her as opposed to getting her, they held her credit card up front, but they never charged her from the room. So she stayed there for a long time, like for over a month, telling these people that she was an heiress, and she wasn't. She was just some random person who wanted to be with the elite and hobnob, go to the best parties, So she has all these pictures of her at parties with celebrities, Macaulay Culkin, this one, that one. But it was just very interesting the way she did it. And Shonda Rhimes has actually acquired the rights to adapt a Netflix series about her.
Oh my gosh. That's wild. I heard it's only I mean, not to that extent at all. That's
Mhm.
wow. She put some time into that. There's this
Yeah.
guy. What was his name? I saw it on Facebook, so you never know how real that is. But he was uh he was tricking women into buying him houses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so he was like getting them to put like the money down, and they put it under his name or their name together as a group, and then he's like living in these houses. Like, oh my gosh, man, it's crazy to the extent people go.
Yes.
Anyway,
I mean,
so
I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And so to me, the benefit of the doubt was he was homeless. He had nowhere to go. So he had to figure out how to get into a house. But when you have multiple houses, when you have multiple homes, multiple women, and this is what you do, that just screams of you need jail time.
oh yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think it's out of control. It's ridiculous.
Mhm.
Well, on a side note, what any good interviews lately?
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my God, yes. I had some really great interviews. Frances Pullen, I just did her interview today at 3 o'clock. And I love Frances. Frances and I have lunch. I see her at all the events. But one of the things that I just love about Frances is Frances turned 70 years old today. I was like so excited. She's 70. She announced the launch of her book, Loving the Me in Me, on my show today. That was a part of her book release. As a part of her birthday, she wanted to announce it on my show. So I felt so special about that. And I had an opportunity to speak to her for an hour about her book, the things that she does, her workshop. So that made me feel very special. I was excited to just give people her website information, francespullen.com. They can go to her website, take a look at her book. Again, it's Loving the Me in Me. So I enjoyed that today because it was a special occasion, and I really love special occasions. I interviewed another lady who had a podcast, and that was nice. She had me as a guest on her podcast, so then I had her as a guest on my video cast, and so she's in Africa, of all places. So it was interesting to get different perspectives. So one of the things that I'll sum up what she said, but one of the things that she spoke about was, one of the things I always tell my son is that we have first world problems, Yeah. So when you go over there, and she's a African woman. And so even though she has been here for some time, she went back to her roots, and she was just telling us like everything that we, complain about, those people wish they had those things. So it was a very interesting yet humbling experience. So that was a wonderful interview. I did an interview with another lady. I'm gonna have to find her name. Let me just look real quick because her name, the lady in Africa was Timbi Becca. So Timbi Becca was in Africa. She was wonderful. But there was Neelam Tawar. Now, Neelam Tawar to me was an example of how sometimes life just works out. I had scheduled her for a couple of months to be on the podcast. And this is one of the things that I enjoy because some people feel like, oh, let me just get my feet wet. Let me just start and then I'll see how it goes. So she initially wanted to do the podcast, but she said, no, let me do the video cast. So we did the video cast last week, and she teaches people how to do speaking engagements and a lot of different things. But then she started speaking about how she had become a TED Talk speaker and how she had not only did it once, but she did it twice. And then all of a sudden, people just started sharing this video because people wanted to know how did you do it? And so she answered the question. And then 5 minutes later, someone else said, okay, but how did you do it? I want to do it. So I think that's the big thing that's out there. So again, her name is Neelam Tawar. And I'll share that video interview several times because people keep asking me, who is that lady? Who is that lady who could tell you how to get on TED Talks?
Well, do you have any spark notes on how she was able to do it?
Yes. And she, of course, does an actual workshop, which is a detailed workshop where she works with people on their image and their branding. And so the majority of what she said was the main thing is your image and your branding. She was living in New York City. She decided to move to India. I guess this was my week for people just leaving the country and going somewhere else. But she was in New York City, and she says, you know what? I have to make a change. She was working at a corporate job, and she said, my spirit is dying. It's killing me. I have to go, to India and kind of find myself. And 6 months after she made this change, 6 months after she left everything behind, just packed up and left New York, she received an email to be a speaker and to do her own TED Talk. So what she talks to people about is getting out there, being out there, creating your following, creating your image, creating your brand. Because just like every other organization, the people who invite you to be a TED Talk speaker, they're actively looking for, and you don't even have to go to the website and apply.
Oh, wow. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, it's wild how much like stuff is readily available if you just ask for it. I was talking to someone today, just he's looking for a new path, a new career path. And I was like, reality is in real estate and podcasts and any kind of form, usually people are more inclined to help you out than less inclined with real estate. You mean you have to ask for the business. There's always a joke about being a silent realtor, where no one knows that you're a realtor. And like most people, just if you ask it, even if you just went to 1,000 people or 100 people or 200 people and just said, "Are you looking for real estate help?" It's that simple. There's going to be a lot of no's, but the one yes because you asked. I
agree. I always say the same thing. One yes is worth a million no's. Just that one yes. Because I do a lot of emailing. That's one of the ways I get a lot of people as guests on my show is just send them an email, ask them, say, "Hey, Vinnie, I saw what you're doing. I think you're great as a realtor. Would you like to be a guest on my show?" And the people come on. So if you keep promoting your brand, promoting what you do, then people will definitely want to hear more and follow what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I've definitely realized that, especially with the podcast, but in anything, if most of the time, if you give value or if you're actually looking to help out, and at least the real estate side, positive things will happen. And the podcast thing, people want to tell their story. It's just a matter of getting in front of them. So there was actually my last interview I just did yesterday. So every time you make this podcast, you pick up nuggets. Some nuggets are bigger than others, but you pick up nuggets and you get to hear these stories. One that I thought was very interesting, I always do before I lift, static stretching, right? So just like kind of like stretching the arms, whatever I do based off of the area I'm doing. And so I was talking to this physical therapist. He works with a lot of high-end MMA fighters and like athletes, and he says that's actually the wrong way of doing it. That's an old mindset. You want to do active stretching. So I feel like you're running in place, getting your body warm, so on and so forth. By the static stretching, you're actually stretching your muscle and you're giving yourself the higher probability of injuring yourself. I was like, wow, I would never have guessed. And I try to keep very active. And even trainers that I know now, they still do the static stretching. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, he came from abundance. I was able to talk to him. I talked to some other people, marketing people. Talked to another guy that he ran on the side while he was working his 9-to-5 job, a blog that helps people get out of debt. So before we even got on the mic, it was kind of funny because he's telling me, he goes, "Oh yeah, so real estate. One of my most popular blogs was talking about the negativity of realtors and why you don't need a realtor." This was before we were actually interviewing. And I was like, that's fair. There's definitely a difference from one realtor to the next. So if you're not getting the value you're thinking, then I could see where you're coming from on that. He felt like it more and more. And I think he was a little bit shocked about my reaction of it. So I think he was expecting me to be like, because he's always got a lot of feedback from realtors saying that's a horrible thing, you need to take it down, so on and so forth. I was like, no, I can understand where you're coming from, and there's probably a lot of people that assume that, especially if they had a bad experience. So that was kind of an interesting thing. He started talking more about how he turned his career into actually, his job into a career, into a business. So that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
To turn his blog into a career, into a business?
Yeah. So he started just kind of writing there, and then he started adding more content and then building it up and growing his platform.
I don't know what the particular blog post said or his reasons why you don't need a realtor, but I can tell you this, there are a lot of different professions that you may not actually directly need. That they can be avoided. Now, some people say, like, I'll give you an instance. I know someone who says that they do their own oil changes. They say, oh, because we were having this discussion, and she's like, oh, it doesn't take too much effort. You just go to AutoZone or go to whatever, get the oil, pop the hood, pour the oil into the car. Bam, 5 minutes, it's done. And I'm like, no, I don't do oil changes. That, I can probably give you 1,000,001 reasons why we no longer need people who do oil changes for us. But I prefer the people to do my oil changes. And it's not just because of the time it takes for me to do the oil change. And it's not because, I don't get these nails dirty. But the real reason is when I go to the Jiffy Lubes or the Valvolines or whatever you want to call it, they do more than just change the oil. They check this, they check that, they make sure this is working, they make sure this is working. They make sure, maybe my tires need to be rotated. I just got my tires rotated a couple of months ago because that's what when Kia said it needed to be rotated. So if I try to avoid all these people that some people may consider the middleman, I believe that what you do is you just wind up getting in more trouble. That's really how my business is built. When I start working with anyone, as a business consultant, I start with a free consultation. So I just talk about them, talk about their business, talk about what they have going on, what's working, what's not working, what they're doing right, what they can do better. It's absolutely free. Then we move to say, well, let's get you out there. After I've helped them with their business, maybe their website, maybe, the content, the look, their social media package. But then I'll do an interview with them on Ask Sharifah videocast. Most people who want to do one interview is interested in, multiple shows. Maybe they want to go and be a guest on Vinnie's show. Maybe they want to go to Road to Growth and tell people their road to growth. I don't know. But let me just say this, Road to Growth. That's what I'm saying. Be a guest on Road to Growth. I don't know how you become a guest on Road to Growth, but I'm sure it's going to appear somehow magically in the section. But when I go into PR, I tell people, honestly, almost everything I do as far as PR, a person can do it themselves. They can contact the media, they can reach out to them. But if you don't know, you can take a lot of time, spend a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of energy trying to figure out the right person to contact, what to say when I contact them, what to respond, what's the message to go out there, and they don't have that information. So yeah, of course, if you don't want a PR person, if you don't want someone to help you, I can send you at least 10 different Google articles that are DIY PR, right? Yeah. But the one thing that I think that a lot of business owners do is they try to wear too many hats. And the reason they try to wear those hats is because they feel like, oh, nobody's going to do it the way I'm going to do it. And they feel like I have to do everything myself. Plus, they may not necessarily want to spend the money to get someone to help them to do it the right way. So if they want to take their time and their energy, and I spend a lot of time and energy for my clients getting PR opportunities for them, it's going to take them hours in their day, which they don't typically have anyway. So usually what happens is the people leave and they say, okay, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do. I said, okay, I don't get mad. I don't get upset. I don't go, oh my God, I hate this person, or they should have hired me. I go, okay, I understand. And I keep moving. And typically what happens is those same people research it. They look, they see the nuances of even in the writing and communicating to the media, and they come back and say, okay, yeah, I understand I could do it myself, but I don't think I want to.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I forgot who said it, but they were talking about you could technically make your own shoes, you can make your own clothes. The reason why we buy them is because time over money. Mm-hmm. The time it would take you to make your own shoes or make your own clothes, it just wouldn't be worth it. Mm-hmm. So that's why you spend those dollars. You could, more than likely, like you said, do your own PR. Mm-hmm. Yet, how much time is it going to take for you to actually understand the knowledge base that you accumulated over X amount of years? Mm-hmm. Same thing for real estate. You could probably, purchase your own property by yourself. Reality is though, there's stuff that, good realtors like myself or, Val or, people on my team or whatever, or even just people out there in general have accumulated over time. They understand different stuff with documents, understand different stuff with negotiation, and so on and so forth. So you could do any of that stuff. It's just a matter of how much time are you willing to invest in that avenue. Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. It's one of the conversations my father and I have all the time. He does not like the fact that I use Postmates so much. He's like, Sharifah, you just should go and cook. You can go in there and fix that or fix. I'm like, okay, but somewhere someone went to culinary school. That was their dream. They said, you know what? One day I'm going to cook for the masses. And you know what? I'm allowing that person to fulfill their dream. Because my dream is to finish work, get finished with all these shows and interviews and PR clients and video cast and book sales and book, and actually have a meal, as opposed to now I have to go and cook the meal. So I just believe that, especially now, in Trump's world, that's what I call it, in Trump's world, and everything that's going on in the economy, we need to look for more opportunities to create jobs, whatever they are. So let's have more realtors. Let's have more auto mechanics. Let's have more PR people. If that's their job, a way for them to create income and a way for them to feed their families, as opposed to, because what people typically do is they look for ways to get rid of what they consider the middle person. And sometimes the middle person has information that, if they would have known that information, could have either made them a lot of money or saved them a lot of money, but they just want to get rid of this person altogether.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, again, politics is not my forte. What was I say about the middle person? What do you think? Because what was it, a couple of years back? I haven't been to McDonald's for a little while, but aren't they doing computers? They're like computers,
Yes.
orders?
Yes.
Right, that's a new thing, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's going to be very interesting. Like, for you, if you go...
I know what you're saying, Vinny. Let me just say this. Yeah. I know what you're saying. A lot of people, talk about the computers at McDonald's the same way when you looked at the Twilight Zone, where he said one day computers well, he didn't say computers. He said robots will replace man. And so a lot of people are saying, these computers that take our orders are what is replacing man. And from someone who has been laid off 7 times, and someone whose background really is the travel industry. My first job out of high school was working for TWA. At 18 years old, I was on an airplane every weekend. There's very few places in the United States where I have not visited. I visited everywhere that I wanted to go. No, I haven't been to Idaho. I haven't been to North Dakota, but I've been to New York City. I've been to DC. All the.
How would you rank your top 5 places?
I love DC. I love New York.
Number 1?
Yeah, they're in the top 5. I really love DC. Yes.
Breakdown.
Well, of course it's going to be LA.
LA is number 1.
Yes. LA, California. Yes.
LA is definitely one of my bottom ones.
No, I love LA because I moved to Washington D.C. in 1995 because I was born in D.C. and I had visited, and I was like, oh my God, this place is so wonderful. There's a lot of culture in DC. There are a lot of politics in DC. There are a lot of affluent people. There are a lot of professional people. Almost everyone you meet has some political job or some, government job. So, and they're busy. They're professionals. In California, we tend to like to just kind of hang and lounge. We have, East Coast people and West Coast people are completely different. In the West Coast, there's this, gotta go, there's this rush. On the East Coast, they also have what they can, on the West Coast, we have personal space. On the East Coast, there is no such thing as personal space. On the West Coast, if you get on an elevator and there are 1, maybe 2 people in the elevator, okay, you'll get on. But more than that, the elevator's full, I'll just wait for the next one. Whereas the East Coast, the elevator, if you don't have at least 12 people, they're like, oh yeah, there's room for 1 more, 13, 15 people in the elevator, because there's a lack of space. Whereas in California, we're very laid back. We're just kind of chill kind of people. I see your question coming, Vinny.
No. Did you see in the comment section? Val's trying to get us in the gutter.
No, I know, but I watched Val. I was coming back to, because I went all away from my point initially, which was McDonald's, and I didn't forget it. I'm going to come back to it. But one of the things that I think that is changing, because, in different foreign countries, whether it's in Europe or Mexico, people take time for their families. They take siestas. They take siestas. In Malta, the entire country closes down for the summer. and people focus on the family. And so here in America, we're just go, go, go. We're business. We're all about the almighty dollar. We don't even really take time for lunch. We don't take that time to have leisure time. So I feel that the more computers are able to do, more people will create additional businesses and more people will be able to stay at home. That's what I see eventually happening.
Yeah, I mean, so let's say you're calling, I don't know, an airline or whatever company, and you get an automated answering service. How do you usually react to that? Do you stay online where it says, please tell me what you're looking for?
No, I push 0.
Yeah, I go crazy with 0.
I do.
I try like once, and then as soon as it's like, please repeat, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is 0.
That's what I'll do. I don't want to talk. I want to talk to a live person, preferably a live person in America. Like that is my preference.
That's a crazy part about it. Like, so we do a lot of like defaults and short sales like that, and so we call these big banks, and the people you reach out to are overseas.
Yes.
There's a language barrier there, and it's wild. In some of the places, they even have ones locally, like in the Midwest, where there'll be the call centers. Like, so once you get past the ones overseas and you get the call centers here, and there was a stat that someone was telling me about, like maybe it was like 8 months ago, that the people at McDonald's were making more money than people at that call center. So you're talking about your finances for your house. So you're trying to like resolve an issue for maybe behind a payment or something might have happened, that those people there are getting paid less money than the person at a fast food restaurant. So it's sometimes it can get really deflating. But anyways, going back to
I don't think it's deflating, and I think that's the interesting point. But let me just say this: why this transition is happening is because people are coming closer. And it doesn't seem like it. It may not seem it, but the world is coming closer.
You think?
Like, I know. Let me tell you, have you heard of Fiverr?
Yeah.
I use Fiverr all the time. When I found out about Fiverr years ago, Fiverr completely changed my business. It changed it because I can get anything I need, whether it's a logo, a press release, website content, a new website, a flyer, whatever it is, I can get it for $5. And so why would I pay someone in America $50 or $100 when I can go get a logo for $5 in maybe 5 hours and I just get it done? The people in the other countries, they appreciate that $5 so much more, because when you go to India and some of these countries, maybe these people are used to typically making 50 cents an hour.
Yeah.
Right. So when you give that same person who's used to making 50 cents an hour, $2 an hour or $5 for that project, they're like, oh my God, I'm excited. But if you were to give that same project or that same work $5 to someone in America, they don't even want it. They like, and so it's easier for me to work with people who appreciate it in a different country than it is for me to give that same work to someone in this country. However, with that said, I love to speak with people when I call, my companies from the bank to my phone company and have them be Americans because of the language barrier.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. There's some stuff that there's a similar commonality that the language is not going to be a big factor. That makes sense. And so there's probably, there's the ability for a balancing out, because over time, as Fiverr gets bigger and the other platforms get bigger, stuff like that it's going to be harder for individuals, like maybe graphic designers or whatever it might be, to make an honest living, because they're competing with individuals overseas that have a lower cost of living. So right. I think that's definitely tough, and that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see how the future goes with regards to that. But yeah, like the communication barrier. What do you like? Have you tried? What is it? Google Translator? You tried that?
I don't do all that. No, I don't do Google Translator at all. No, I do.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried it either, and I heard it's not the greatest right now. Yet over time, regards to the language barrier, that might be something that's going to give us at least the ability to be closer.
But I think what is happening is that people in foreign countries and these other countries, they're raised to speak English from a young age. So the focus is on making sure that they speak English. That's what the parents do. Make sure you speak English so that when you get a job or you're looking for work, you can become employable. I have one of the young gentlemen who works with me on one of my companies, and he's a college student. He helps me with a lot, amazing kid. But he was saying, because I always ask him about his studies and his schoolwork, and he was like, oh, I'm doing good with this. I'm doing good. He was like, I'm just having trouble with my Spanish. And I said, you know what? When I was in high school, I went to Spanish too. And I thought it was just like this big joke. I'm like, I don't need Spanish. This is America. And out of all the classes, out of all the college courses, out of everything I learned, and this is what I told him, the one thing that I really honestly wish, this is like one of my biggest regrets, not that I can't change it, but I wish I would have taken Spanish more serious as a child. Because one of the ways that people keep you out of different jobs or different projects is by saying you have to be bilingual. If you're not bilingual, we're not even going to consider hiring you. And this gentleman, he wants to go into film. He's a film producer. And I told him, I said, but you have to understand that when you're on the set, you're going to have a lot of people from the grips to other producers who are going to be working on the set, and they may only speak Spanish. You want to make sure you have a complete understanding of what's being said and also be able to understand, everything that's going on. So definitely, I told him, go in there, take that Spanish class so serious, get an A. If you have to download Rosetta Stone, whatever you have to do, get an understanding of Spanish.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely makes sense. I've studied Spanish for a while. My dad's Mexican. My Spanish is horrible. You can ask Val about that, but it's so funny because, we talked about it when I first got started in the business. You use your name, your given name, and my name's very Hispanic, Vicente Enriquez. So I get a lot of people calling me speaking Spanish, and I'd be like, "Venda su casa?" And so over time, then I just started transitioning over to Vinny. I made it easier, no one assumed anything, and now most people think I'm Italian, and not a lot of people speak Italian. So it's funny because our team name right now is Team Vinny SD, and we're actually switching it over. So next week we'll have it probably officially switched over and everything to the Enriquez group. So it's going to be very back to the whole Hispanic thing, and it'll be interesting once we transition that over, how many more calls we get from people speaking Spanish and asking for properties and so on and so forth. So it's been nice to actually be able to pick it up. Yet not there yet.
I mean, it would have been nice, but does anyone on your team, does Val speak? Because Val said no, it's not. So
yeah, no, Val speaks Spanish. We're looking at possibly bringing someone else to the team that speaks Spanish. So over time, we're going to definitely have more people that speak Spanish to allow opportunities to, as they come about, to take advantage of them.
Yes.
But yes. I've compras, casa, buy a house.
That's what you're gonna say. That's all you have to say.
Oh yeah. So it'll be a couple like very, I'll be like caveman style saying words.
Rosetta Stone, Vinny.
I've listened to stuff like
no endorsement, no advertising. They haven't sponsored. I don't make any money, but I'm just saying you could go on your phone and download some kind of app that'll help you. If you really want to learn.
There probably is. There's probably a lot of apps. I don't think it's a full-on priority for me.
Not yet. But when you notice that you got 30 more calls in a day, but all of those people wanted someone to speak Spanish, then you can see those opportunities or those possible deals just going out the door, just right out the door. And that's money that's going right out the door. So you, like me, we should have taken that Spanish more seriously.
Yeah, that's why I speak Mandarin.
Who are you speaking to with Mandarin? My brother speaks Mandarin.
Does he really?
My brother speaks 5 languages. Wow. Yes.
What languages?
He speaks English.
Okay.
He speaks Japanese. He speaks Japanese. Okay. He speaks Mandarin Chinese. He speaks Arabic, and he speaks Russian. And so I asked, are you going to learn how to speak Spanish? He's like, everybody knows how to speak Spanish. So he doesn't want to learn Spanish. So I'm like, okay, but you speak Arabic and Russian. Like, who are you talking to? What Russian is walking down the street to have nobody? He don't even know Russian people, but he just loves us.
Really impressive guy right there. So he know. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yes.
So why does he pick those up? What was the background?
He loves linguistics.
Wow.
He's not a everybody thought that he was going to be a translator, like for the government or something like that. He's a computer programmer for Oracle. So he doesn't use it in his, well, technically that's not true. Let me just say that's not true, because he actually gets more work because he speaks those different languages, because he can go to any office that Oracle has. So when he travels, he can go to Japan, he can go wherever and speak to everyone. So it does work as a benefit for him in his position.
So here's a hard-hitting question. Who's more talented, you or him?
It depends on what you define as talent. You know what I mean?
Generic
different personalities. He's more like, certain people are more book smart. Like he likes to read, but he's not necessarily worldly. I'm more like natural talent. A lot of things that I do, hey, it's just me. You know what I mean? I didn't have to do all that reading and stuff.
He's just naturally talented. So you're saying that over time, if he puts his mind to it, he can become more talented than you?
Talent is a key word. You know what I mean? He can become more intelligent, but he's more, that employee kind of type. He's the tried and true. He's more, I'll tell you this, when we were in school, I have my older brother than my younger sister. And so my brother was just all A's, but my brother didn't really have any fun. I was like B and C's, but I had fun. And then my sister, she just was all fun. So it's like, people say that intelligence kind of, as it went down the line, just kind of diminished. But I could get an A if I want to stay home and not go to the party.
So what you're saying is basically you, your brother right here, your sister down here.
No, I can't say that, because she has the potential. She has the potential to be here. She just.
What's holding her back?
She doesn't, that was a long time ago. Now she's a stay-at-home mother. She's a stay-at-home wife. And so she's able to work with the family and keep the family home and happy and fed.
Have you seen the TV show Easy?
No, I have not heard of it. What is Easy?
It's about people's life. It's on, I think, Netflix, I think it is, or Amazon. But it's just like a snapshot into people's lives. And so when you're talking about a stay-at-home mother, right? So they were saying that, because you know how the roles can be reversed. We have a stay-at-home father compared to stay-at-home mother. So in the show, I have no clue. I have no clue if it's true or not. But they're saying in the show that, or one of the episodes, that the women find their men less attractive as a stay-at-home father. And so there's a whole dynamic of the show where he's trying to figure out, like, if that's really true, and trying to get that spark and so on and so forth. It almost seems like we're readjusting, and I don't have a family, I don't know, but it seems like we're almost readjusting, that we're not just put into a cookie cutter. And so it takes time, I think, almost like maybe next generation, the following generation, where it's more open, I guess.
It can be. I believe it's changing, but me personally, just talking about me, I would never have a stay-at-home husband who just stayed at home. That's not me. Like, if he wants, that's not gonna happen. Like,
if you,
I'm sorry.
You had kids. You had kids.
No.
You wouldn't be okay with that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, there is no gray area. There is no mate. No. What I mean is this: not where I was the sole breadwinner. Yeah. Now, if he worked from home, and because he was at home, the kids were able to be there with him, then that would be okay with me. That would be acceptable for me. I don't even have to say that. I mean, I might be the main breadwinner. I might be the one who earns the majority of the money, but there's no way in the world I would be married to someone and all they did was just sit at home all day. Because what happens is the kids grow up, the kids grow out. So after the kids, then what do you do? What are you going to go and do? So I'm going to go work and I'm going to earn all this money and you just going to sit at home. And I'm not saying, and I don't care who.
But what if the roles are reversed? What if the woman's staying at home and then the kids go off to college or wherever they go? It'd be the same kind of idea, no?
But that's for people who, I'm a very sexist person, so you have to take that into account. Because I still believe in roles. So everyone doesn't believe in roles. I believe in roles. I believe that the man is the hunter, and that is in his natural state, his alpha man state, from years and years of his DNA, it runs in his blood for him to hunt. If he's not hunting, then what is he doing? He's sitting there waiting for the food to come to him. He's waiting for the woman to bring him the food. Okay, well, I'm not the woman who's going to bring you the food. Like, you're going to have to get up, do something, kill something, create something so that we can eat. I'm not going to be the provider.
So you're saying if he's the provider, that when he gets home, he should have a big old meal and a back massage ready to go.
And a bath.
Oh, and a bath.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I mean, whatever he needs. That's what if he's going out and he's bringing in I don't think women should sit at home also and not do anything unless their husband is really able to provide that. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know if I talked about on the show. I thought it was funny. So my Mexican side, right, has that idea, the traditional kind of way, like a man does this, woman does that. And this was funny. I still remember this one time that it was me and my sister. We were having a big bowl of rice at my grandmother's house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm eating the bowl of rice. We both finished, me and my sister. So we're walking in the kitchen, right? Walking in the kitchen to put in the kitchen. And my grandma goes, no, stop. She grabs my bowl and gives my sister, goes, women in the kitchen, men out there.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed at my sister. My sister ended up punching me later on. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was just really, really funny. But that's, so.
I believe in roles, Vinny. I believe in roles. That's all I can say. Right, wrong, or different. I believe in roles. But what happens is, even though people may like take the bowl and give it to your sister because her place is in the kitchen, okay, well, are you doing the other aspect of it? Like, are you going out and getting some wood or doing something that's outside?
I was like 12. I wasn't working at that time. I was in a sweatshop. Not yet.
No, you didn't have to be working, but but were you taking out the trash? What were you doing?
We were just visiting my grandma. That was it.
Okay. See, the way she gave her a role, though. This is what I'm saying, is that we love grandma. Grandma's beautiful and wonderful, but grandma gave your sister a role, but she didn't give you a role.
No,
so to me, I'm sexist, but I tell people I'm a lot of things, but I'm very fair. And to me, the fair thing would have been to giving her a role and then giving you a role. But she did. She just gave her a role. And that's why there's an expression. I don't know if you've heard it, Vinny, because it may be only in the African-American community. But one of the things that we say is that we love our sons and we raise our daughters. Mm. Have you ever heard that?
No, that makes sense.
It's out there. And it's out there. And so, yes. I was reading Val's comment. Val said, and if you're the only Mexican son, you're like God. Okay. See, God provides. And that's my thing. Like, you should be able to go to the male son and say, oh, son, we need you to do this for the family. And the son should go and take care of that. That's what I see. That's what I say. I don't know.
Oh, it's 6:00.
That's what I was going to say. Huh? I know. That's why I say I don't know about that, but I did notice it was 6:00. So I was like, okay, maybe this will be a discussion for another time.
We'll get into it. Everyone, if you want to get some good stuff, either listen to Ask Sharifah or Road to Growth. If you're looking for a sexist mindset, maybe listen to Ask Sharifah. If you're looking more for an equality mindset of that anyone can do whatever they want, maybe listen to Road to Growth.
Road to Growth. So thank you all for tuning in. Reginald, Val, Nathaniel, so many people. Thank you for joining us. I told you, it's a very interesting conversation. We covered a few things. We'll cover more. We won't be here next week because our co-host Vinny has some amazing things that he's taking care of, but we will be back the following week. And we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts. Put them in the comments. What would you like us to discuss? What would you like to hear? Thank you all for joining us. And everyone, have a wonderful night.
Wonderful night.